Many years ago, I dated a stalker. He stalked me to my job, my parents' house, you name it, the whole nine. I was constantly terrified, even though I had a restraining order on him. One day, I came home from a trip to the store. I heard my roommate's Great Dane barking in the backyard, so I made my way to the glass sliding door in the kitchen. That's when I found him standing there. He was staring at me with this creepy look. After a few moments, he started moving toward me. This is when I learned that during near-death experiences, your life doesn't flash before your eyes. Everything just slows down. Every moment feels like an eternity. The only thing I could think of was my roommate's dog. He was my only hope for protection. The knife block was too far for me, and I knew he could just overpower me. The guy was twice my size. So I reached over and opened the sliding door. That dog came in like fury I've never seen in my entire life. Blood sprayed everywhere, and I was just frozen. Luckily, my neighbor heard the chaos and called the cops. The police took him to the hospital and impounded his car. What they found inside that car was truly disturbing. They found condoms of mine as well as stained period underwear. He also had a giant catalog of photos of me as well as everyone I know. What really shook me though, really terrified me, was that he had a shovel, duct tape, cat litter, and boxes of condoms and rope. I thank God every day for that dog that saved my life. I was about 4 or 5 years old when my parents separated, and the most terrifying event of my life would soon follow. During the night of the incident, I remember waking up in the middle of the night, sitting up and seeing our cat sitting on the door frame of my mom's room. Her door was open and you could partially see into my bedroom. This was particularly strange because our cat was usually in bed with us. The cat soon hopped off and moved toward us, meowing. I turned to face my mom and wake her up, but what followed was pure horror. In the few short seconds it took for her to wake up and ask me what was wrong, we both looked back toward the doorframe and saw a man standing across the hall by my bedroom door. I still don't know how she managed to do it so quickly, but in an instant, my mother somehow picked me up and threw me through the screen window. She quickly followed and we both began screaming for help. Luckily, someone called 911. The police came but didn't see any signs of forced entry. We were all confused. A few weeks later, my mom cleaned the kitchen and opened up the water heater closet. What she found shocked even the police. There was a notebook with names and drawings as well as a pair of gloves. Who knows what that man had been planning? It was the late 80s or early 90s in a small town in Texas. Everybody knew everyone in that town. My sister and I were home alone this particular night. I was 7 and she was about 15. Thank God for my sister's quick thinking that night, or things could have ended much worse. It was around 8 p.m. in the winter and it was pitch black out. Both of us were in the living room watching 60 Minutes. To one side of the room was a large glass door leading to the backyard. It was nothing but blackness because we didn't have any of the back lights on. Our front door to the other side of the room was solid wood with a small entryway. You couldn't see beyond it. The episode we were listening to was particularly brutal. It was about a middle-aged man that went on a rampage in his neighbor's house, mutilating the family and kidnapping their young daughter. Turns out there was an active, ongoing manhunt for the guy. As we were listening to the details of the investigation, from out of nowhere we heard a on the front door. We both jumped and screamed like crazy. Then, dead silence. There were only 2 lights on in the house, the kitchen and the TV. We began to rationalize the banging. Maybe it was a planter or a rocking chair that had moved from the wind, when suddenly we heard the storm door on the other side of the front door slam open. We began to panic even more as we realized that someone was trying to break into the house. I was frozen solid, but my sister had managed to crawl over to the TV to shut it off, which caused an audible thunk sound the second she did it. Now it's just us in a dimly lit living room with someone standing at our front door. We kept making eye contact with each other, then we would direct our attention back to the door. This next part, I'll never forget as long as I live. As we were sitting there, waiting, I turned my head to the backyard glass door when I saw the knob begin to turn slowly. It was locked on the knob, but it hadn't been deadbolted shut. The knob began to shake gently, and neither of us made a sound. Then once again, my sister flipped out, screaming bloody murder. She jumped up with lightning speed and dragged me into the bedroom. I really couldn't move. I was still in shock. She locked the door and moved every piece of furniture against it. Thankfully, my sister had the house phone in her hand. Even though we had the phone and all the panic, she had forgotten the sheriff's number though. Instead, she hit the redial button and began screaming to one of her friends on the phone in a garbled panic. I was still curled up on the floor, shaking. Everything remained silent until we saw the headlights of her friend's parents' car pulling up in our driveway. We never did find out who it was or why they were trying to break in, but I'll never forget to lock my doors after that event. I'm a girl, and I live in a pretty old house with 5 Navy guys. My room is by itself in the detached garage. So one night I'm sleeping out there, and in my dreams, or at least I assume, I'm hearing this loud rattling noise. I slowly start to wake up, but I feel pretty out of it. I open my eyes and I look around, and the noise continues. The door is about 3 feet from the end of my bed, and the doorknob is rattling like crazy. It almost sounds like someone is pounding on it, but I can't tell if someone's knocking or if someone's trying to open it. At this point, I realize that this isn't a dream anymore. Even my lab, who never wakes up during the night, is up and staring at the door. The shaking is getting worse, and I'm completely terrified. I always hoped to be someone that responded better to situations like this. I'm in tears, and I throw my blanket over my head, and I wait to die. There's nothing in my room that I can use to defend myself with except for a metal flashlight. I hold on to it tightly and continue to shiver. A minute later, the noise stops and I'm finally able to move. I see the motion light outside go off and I poke my head outside the window but see nothing. I try to think logically. I live with 5 guys. They often have people over late at night after going downtown. It's currently 2:30 in the morning, about the time they would get back. Maybe someone was just super drunk and just being really stupid. So I texted my roommates. I tell them, "Hey guys, are you up? Do you have any people over? Someone was just outside my door trying to get in. I assume someone must be drunk or something? Kinda creepy." Less than 2 minutes later, I hear the back door to the house swing open, followed by whistling and banging. My roommates are running around the backyard with baseball bats. We never caught the guy, and all that was left was a pack of cigarettes and a bag of Hardee's. It took me about 3 weeks to finally sleep in that room again. I was sitting in my room after coming back from work. My little brother was sitting downstairs watching TV, and our dog was in the hallway outside my door sleeping. Everything felt like a typical night until something strange began to happen with our dog. She started barking suddenly, jumping around and clacking her nails against the wood floor. I went to see what was going on when I heard a voice. A deep voice spoke out to our dog, saying,
"Ah, that's a good girl."
It was strange to me because it didn't sound at all like my little brother. I assumed it was my dad, so I went out to greet him and said, "Oh, you're home early?" As soon as I left my room, there was no one there. It was just my dog in an empty hallway wagging her tail. My brother ran upstairs to yell at me for getting our dog excited. We both looked at each other and my brother confirmed he heard the same voice. With panic coursing through our bodies, we grabbed a knife and a BB gun. Going room to room, we cleared every corner and looked under every bed and in every closet. There was nobody in the house.